Hey guys, welcome to Sketch Day. I'm Spencer and I'm excited because I'm taking one of your suggestions and making a video today. We're going to do some hand lettering and talk about how, as a designer, I do my writing and annotation on a sketch. But before we begin, I want you to hit that subscribe button, turn on those alerts, and come say hi on Instagram. I'm at sketchday.com. And be sure to hit up sketchaday.com/newsletter where you'll be able to sign up for my newsletter for a free super sketch tip guide. So if you've looked at designer sketches, you may notice that a lot of times, particularly in old school sketches, we annotate things a certain way, and there's a certain kind of handwriting. And I haven't done any extensive study or observation of this beyond my mentors and my own writing. However, I wouldn't be surprised if it had its roots and origins in, say, architecture and even the offshoot like landscape design. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, you can take a look at some of those types of sketches and you'll see the type of handwriting I'm talking about. Handwriting is particularly important as an industrial designer because it helps add context to the sketches and presentations we're making. And without context, sometimes it's really hard to understand what your intent was as the designer. So you want to make sure that handwriting is pretty clear. So take, for example, I want to just write some letters on this page. I'll show you my normal handwriting as well as how I write as a designer. So if I were just writing, hello, my name is Spencer, it might look something like this. Or if I'm feeling like writing in cursive or something along those lines, it might be like this. Hello, my name is Spencer. Now, option one, I would say, is probably closer to what I consider to be designer handwriting, but really, to write like a designer, you kind of have to do a couple things. So let's just sketch some weird object here real quick for reference, and I'll throw some buttons on, or maybe something simple here. Maybe it's even just a quick battery pack. I am just using regular old printer paper. So just the cheap stuff for you guys today. And let's say there's a couple things in this sketch that we want to annotate or describe. Okay. And maybe something over here as well. Something like this, okay? Quick line weight. I feel like I can't help myself sometimes. I just want to finish out the whole sketch, A little bit of shading. Just like that, texture, and so forth. Okay, now using some context clues, you can make some inferences about the sketch here. For example, this kind of looks like a square hole with some line here, and here's another square thing, but I'm not really sure what that is, or a rectangular thing. I've got another rectangular thing here. So in this instance, because I have no color, I may need to add a bit more context to the sketch. Similarly, I do have a line of division on the portion that's closest to the viewer here, and let's throw in a quick part line as well. Okay, now I'm going to stop. So we have a section over here, a section here, and I've added these stipples to suggest perhaps a material change, but it's not entirely clear without some color or an annotation. So let's go ahead and annotate these. First thing you'll notice is I just draw a quick curved arrow, little arrowhead. That's a whole other video, entirely arrows and how those are used, but I just want to just touch on that a little bit. Here's another one. I'm going to do a little S-shaped line for this annotation, like so, and I'm going to do another one here as well. Okay, now when I'm adding my notes, what I like to do is put down 2 lines, and I'll do one note on this side and then talk about how I write and why, and then we'll come back and finish out. But let's say this is a screen. Okay, and this is our first annotation. It might look something like that. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Hopefully you can see the difference between these two more casual styles and this kind of designer style. Now what's actually happening is, as I'm writing, I'm actually imagining, for example, I'm just going to put down a couple lines here as as an example of some different ways to do this. But what I'm doing is, rather than writing, I'm actually drawing my letters. Okay, so you'll want to shift your thinking a bit to thinking of it as drawing those letters, because that's going to give you a different feel. Now, if I were writing the letter A, I might do something like this. Now you'll notice I had a downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, like so, and then over. Okay, now if I am drawing my letters, I'm going to do something like this. Hold my pen like I'm drawing, and I have these lines. So I have a top, bottom, and a middle. Now I'm sure there's another term for this, but this is how I divide it. So the top and bottom line are basically going to be the guides for where your letters start and stop, the height of that letter. This is going to be where my cross members, at least for letters like A or even B, as I make this letter and draw it, okay, draw that vertical line, two curves, like so. I'm trying to just hit the midpoint there. So for a letter like E, it would follow something like this, F, and so forth. And if you want to come up with a different style, it's pretty easy. You just change the proportional relationship here between your top and middle and the bottom, and you're able to come up with a different look. So for example, A in this arrangement now looks something like this, B something like this, C, D, and so forth. You can even change the shape of the curve on some of these letters and come up with your own style of handwriting. Here's another example. A, again, drawing these letters. B, that one's a bit hard to nail. C, D, E, and so forth. So just by playing with that proportional relationship and drawing your letters, you can come up with really different looks and feels for your writing and come up with your own style. And with that, there's also the slant on the letters. So if I wanted to do D like this, or an E, something like this, I could do that as well. But the idea, again, is to draw and consistently apply that style to your letters. So on our sketch that we did really quickly here, I am essentially imagining that there's a middle line. I just don't tend to draw it. The other thing I do is I'll put two lines down just to give me a guide for where my letters are going to go. And I could say something like, here's some rubber. Something like that. Maybe that's my second note. And then as I draw these lines, I also like to think of, okay, what is it I'm going to write? So here, this might be a USB port, okay, which gives the additional clarity that was missing. And this could be, maybe it's a power button. So that's how we add context to our sketches in a way that supports the main context by drawing our letters and not merely casually writing. I do feel as though it elevates, not elevates, it elevates your sketch a bit more than just having a more casual writing style. That's not to say you can't use these. There's instances where that may be appropriate, but just to give you a little bit of clarification and direction as to how and why I do my lettering that way. But hopefully you guys got something good out of that. Thanks again for all the requests and suggestions and ideas, because frankly, I want to make sure that you're having a good time and you guys are learning what you want to learn. As always, you can find me at Instagram at sketchaday.com. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on alerts, especially because on Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific, I am live here on YouTube sketching and chatting with you guys, so you don't want to miss out on that. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time right here on Sketchaday.